What's going on, fellow owl lovers? Today we're going to be talking about Boiling Owl's Palismen, one of the most common tools used by witches in the Owl House universe, whose name is actually a combination of two different names, the first being the word talisman, which is defined as any object ascribed with magical or religious powers intended to protect, heal, or even hurt for whom the people they are made for. They've been used in many civilizations throughout history, having connections to astrological, scientific, and religious practices. Some notable examples throughout history being the Seal of Solomon, the talismanic shirts from the 15th to 16th centuries, and the Serpent's Gate in the Citadel of Aleppo. The pal part that replaces tal in the original word obviously means the pal synonym for friend, essentially having the whole word palisman mean friendly magical object. Palisman can be acquired by three different methods: crafting one yourself, adopting one, or stealing one. Individual crafting was the most common way witches would get palisman for a while. One would have to find a specific type of enchanted wood called palistrum first, then the witch can choose whatever they want to carve their palisman into, usually in the form of a standard animal like a monkey, bird, or frog. However, even though most palismen that have been shown are animals that can exist in the human realm, it has been shown other mythical creatures can exist in the form of talisman, like Principal Bump's palisman Furwin, for example, who takes the shape of an imp demon. You know the ones. It's no coincidence palismen take the shapes of animals that can relate to the characters they are being wielded by as well. It was implied throughout many different scenes that Stringbean was going to be mostly snake-themed due to Luz having a fascination for snakes since grade school, and although they didn't craft these palismen themselves, ones like Clover and Emmeline match well with their owners. Clover resembling a bee, an insect known to be drawn to plants and flowers, and Willow, of course, being a plant magic specialist, then Emmeline being a chameleon, lizards known for their deceptive nature thanks to their color-changing abilities, which fits very well with illusion magic. Flapjack is a peculiar case since the reason he was so drawn to Hunter is because Hunter is a clone of Caleb Woodabane. Although never flat out stated, it's been heavily implied Flapjack belonged to Caleb before Caleb was killed by Philip. It's also possible for the palisman to choose its own form through the emotions of their creator under certain circumstances, though the only example of this so far is with Luz and Stringbean, where Luz carved Stringbean into an egg shape at first, where she then hatched into her snake shifter form after Luz realized what she wanted out of the world. To be understood. Considering Luz used a standard piece of palistrum wood just like anybody else would have, I think it's safe to assume other palismen could undergo the same process as Stringbean, assuming their creator is struggling to figure out their goals/aspirations like Luz was. Adoption has become the most common way for witches to obtain a palisman in the present day. Due to palistrum wood becoming more and more scarce over the years, it's become borderline impossible for witches to go out there to get the wood themselves, unless they're holding on to an old piece like Ida was for Luz. This, of course, being Belos' fault, having palismen constantly made in bulk or stealing the ones from his coven subjects to use for himself. Palisman adoption is how Willow, Gus, Amity, and kind of Hunter got theirs. The thing is, they kind of have to choose you rather than you just taking them. On the palisman adoption day, the kids had to say what kind of witch they wanted to be, and a specific palisman would go there if they vibed with their answer. So it's sort of like the situation Luz was going through with Stringbean, only it was represented through the physical form of her rather than Luz already knowing what she'd look like fully transformed before being allowed to fully bond. Amity revealed she went through something similar with her palisman Ghost, where Ghost didn't transform into her full cat form until Amity realized she wasn't totally sure what path she wanted to walk in life yet. Just as long as she gets to decide it for herself, she'd be happy. Gus bonded with Emmeline after declaring he wants to study the human realm, and Willow bonded with Clover when she said she wants to protect her friends. You simply just have to make sure it's your most honest ambition within yourself. If the bond becomes strong enough, the owner can't even understand what their palisman is saying to them, even if the sounds coming from their mouths are just chirps or meows. Reminds me of how Pokemon trainers could sometimes understand what their mons were saying in the Pokemon anime. Like I briefly mentioned before, stealing is also an option. Hunter tried doing this in the Hunting Palisman episode, and Belos did it all the time over the course of hundreds of years. However, the only thing one would gain out of doing this, since the palisman obviously wouldn't compromise with someone that stole them, is to use their magic on yourself through means of force, which is a perfect segue into the next topic, the magical powers of palisman. Depending on the palisman, it could have certain powers that another one wouldn't have, though there are common powers that do seem to be shared with all the palismen regardless of their physical form or who their creator was. The most notable being transformation between animal form to staff form, flight via the staff form, shooting blasts of magic, incredibly long lifespans up to thousands of years, and the ability to extend the life of another witch or revive one completely. The magical blasts that they can shoot tend to vary in color as well as destructive power, Stringbeans being purple shaded with a lot of strength behind them, while Flapjacks were shown to be dark yellow and would shoot multiple spall blasts at once, though it's unknown how much power is behind behind each one, since the one time this was used, it was done in an area that could reflect magic, so no proper impact was ever made. Both Flapjack and the Bat Queen are two prime examples of how long Palismen can live while staying in a relatively good shape with no owner. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's ever been flat out stated that Palismen can be immortal. Maybe they can. Of course, it's still possible for them to die through injury, as we've seen. Rest in peace. Depending on the Palismen, it could have unique abilities that differ from the standard Palismen abilities. A Flapjack, for instance, gave Hunter the ability to move so fast that it almost came off as teleportation, and it probably is teleportation, to be honest. Hunter gained this ability to use on his own after Flapjack revived him too, possibly implying other Palismen with specific abilities can transfer their powers to their owner after death, so said owner wouldn't need to hold a staff to be at their peak magical potential. I say possibly since Belos, someone who's consumed Palismen for hundreds of years, didn't really show anything Palismen-like besides the monster form, which resulted in too much consumption over the years. Unless what he was doing against Luz and Youngblood Old Souls was from the Palismen he ate, it's hard to say because it was never confirmed. What I find the most interesting is how, although Palismen essentially come from the wood of a tree, they are shown to be capable of reproducing. The Bat Queen being the only confirmed example of this so far, having 3 children. Some have speculated the yellow cardinal Palismen seen with Del Clawthorn could be related to Flapjack due to having very similar body shapes, sharing a scar, and both having connections to the Clawthorn family. In case you forgot, during the Brothers Woodabane tale from Thanks to Them, it looks like Evelyn Clawthorn may have been the one to help Caleb carve Flapjack, or just straight up gave him to Caleb. I think this is where I'm going to end things off. I think I covered all the bases related to the Owl House Palismen. If you think I may have skipped out on anything important, let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.